Welcome to Premier History. On this channel we take a look back at pivotal points in time, epic battles and chilling crimes, ensuring to help you understand what it was like to live through these moments. On today's episode we're going to look at the Wild West. This was an area situated between the Rocky Mountains and the Mississippi River. Known as the Great Plains, it was a difficult time to live in the 1800s. Not only the harshness of everyday life, but having to also compete with the following things. Dangerous wildlife. The American bison can grow up to 2.8 meters in length, weigh up to 900 kilograms and get up to 65 kilometers an hour. They're very dangerous and known to attack humans. The American grizzly bear, similar in size and weight to the bison, is extremely dangerous and aggressive if provoked. Their claws can grow up to 4 inches in length. The American rattlesnake are known for their distinct rattle noise used to deter predators. Modern day fatalities are rare, but in the 1800s you stood no chance. The Arizona bark scorpion. This can grow up to 8 centimeters in length and is known as the most venomous scorpion in North America. Native Americans. Also known as Indigenous Americans or American Indians, they were the first inhabitants of the Wild West. Often portrayed in pop culture as being aggressive people, as an outsider you probably would want to avoid them. Unlike Marty, you're not going to have a car in the desert, so you're going to want to hope that they're in a good mood that day. Probably the most dangerous tribe to the outsider in the Wild West were the Comanches. They were known as a warlike tribe and often had run-ins with neighbouring tribes as well as European settlers and Mexicans to their southern flank. The Comanches were certainly not a group you'd want to come across alone in the desert, known for killing and scalping their enemies. Disease. Tuberculosis, dysentery, cholera, malaria, typhoid fever, the list goes on. The 1800s was certainly not a fun time to be alive. The first proper antibiotic, penicillin, wasn't invented until 1928. Most medicines in the 1800s contained opium or alcohol, which was usually used to calm or relax the patient, hopefully giving their body enough time to rest. Bark of certain trees like willows were ground down and added to liquids for patients to drink, which would hopefully aid in their recovery. Food. Most basic foods were consumed, such as fruits, vegetables, poultry, beef and pork, but given the location of the Wild West, a lot of these items were seasonal. Things such as beans, corn, eggs and popcorn were consumed on a daily basis by people. Yes, I did say popcorn. It was actually used as a breakfast cereal, added with milk and a sweetener. The preservation of meat was of a high importance and it required either smoking, drying or salting. The first working vapor compressor fridge wasn't invented until 1834, however, it would be a long time until it was a regular household item. Saloons. Movies and television have certainly portrayed saloons in the 1800s to be very dangerous places, but they were actually congregations for townspeople and travellers to pass the time by drinking and gambling. A particularly famous saloon was the Bull's Head. The owner at the time, Phil Coe, outraged the townspeople by painting a bull with an erect penis on the outside. The marshal at the time, Wild Bill Hitchcock, threatened to burn it down. Coe then hired some people to fix it, and this enraged Bill. He later killed Coe during an altercation. However, Bill himself was shot and killed by Jack McCall whilst he was playing poker in a saloon with his hand aces and eights, now known as the dead man's hand. Weather. The unique geography makes this part of the US particularly susceptible to extreme weather. The flat land acts like an expressway, helping low pressure systems receive large amounts of tropical air from the south and extreme cold air from the Arctic. In winter it can get as low as minus 17 degrees Celsius, and in summer as high as 40 degrees Celsius. That's just the temperature, not taking into account the thunderstorms and tornadoes. These tornadoes are often known to destroy towns and even pick up cows. Before we continue today, if you like what you've seen, make sure you give a thumbs up, Hit that subscribe button or click the bell to be notified when more episodes are released. Outlaws. There were many famous outlaws in the Wild West, one of which was Billy the Kid. He was a gunfighter said to be responsible for the death of 8 men. He died at the age of 22. Another famous outlaw was Butch Cassidy. He was a train and bank robber, member of the Wild Bunch. There is some conjecture about his death in Bolivia in 1908, some people claiming he lived a lot longer than that, going underground and hiding away. Probably the most famous outlaw was Jesse James. He was an outlaw bank and train robber, leader of a gang with his brother, Frank James. He got in numerous shootouts with lawmakers. Rather than dying in a hail of gunfire committing a robbery, he's said to have been killed in St. Joseph, Missouri, while dusting a picture on the wall of his rental home. Thank you for watching this episode. Please be sure to leave a comment down below telling us what you thought. Until next time, goodbye.